One of the questions I get asked a lot is about the facial paralysis. And I think my therapist said it best. She said, in the scale of traumas that you can experience in life, having a disfigurement or a change to your face is actually one of the highest things on the scale. Higher than cancer, higher than AIDS, higher than loss of a spouse or a loved one. And when she told me that, it really took me a while to understand why that would be. And she explained it by saying, your face is the only part of your uniform that you wear every single day. You can change your clothes, you can change your environment, you can change your car, you can change your shoes, you can get a bigger house. And you can cover up lots of parts about you. But who people see when they look at your face, that is something that you can't really change. People try, and they try and go in and cover it up, and they put layers of makeup, or they go in and why do people spend so many millions of dollars on plastic surgery?
Yeah.
It's because they know that that people see in some ways is how people view them as an individual. And so when I had such a drastic change in the face that I presented to the world, I really had to put my own beliefs to the test and decide, did I believe the lessons that I've been teaching to other people my whole life about you're not your physical body, that you're not the person, that you're not the brand you wear, it's not the car you drive, it's not the clothes you put on, it's not the makeup, but that you are your soul and your spirit. And I had to really decide if I believed that was true. And I had to do it in a really hard and personal way. I had to decide, do I still love myself even when I don't look the way that I thought that I would? And can I accept this person? And do I think that she is still worthy? Even though I don't necessarily recognize her when I walk by the mirror. And my grandma helped me put this in perspective. We were having pictures taken. And we took a picture, and she was not happy with how she looked in the picture. And she said, "Oh, you can't. My smile was terrible in that picture." I said, "Grandma, you cannot play that card with me. You can't play I don't have a good smile card because that is my card now." It's hard because sometimes I don't recognize the person that I see in the mirror. I have a vision of what Jodi looks like in my mind. And sometimes still to this day, I will walk by and say, "Oh yeah, that's me." And my grandma said, "I do that all the time. I walk by and I say, 'Who's that old lady in the mirror?'" And I realize we all go through that just to varying degrees and at different times in our lives. And that moment with my dear sweet grandma was a good learning moment for me. We're all going to change. We're all going to be different at different phases of our lives. And we can choose to embrace it, or we can choose to try and play that card forever and hide ourselves away. But the faster that we embrace it and the faster that we can love who we are, then the faster that other people will start to love us too. And you don't want to say that one is dependent on the other, but certainly when you love yourself and other people can see that, it makes it easier for them to see that and embrace it too. While otherwise the process may have been a little longer.
So when people see you in person or watch, several of your videos, at times your smile will look differently. Could you explain a little bit about what's going on there?
That's a good question. So I would say there are differences according to a few factors. Number one is what stage of the journey am I in? And so with facial paralysis, if it is temporary facial paralysis, then what you are doing is you're waiting for those nerves that have been damaged to grow, to heal, and to recover and repair. And so that process is actually very scientific. It takes place at 1 millimeter a day. So if you had an injury that took place of a certain part in your brain, and you were paralyzed to, let's say, this part, then really it's a matter of measuring that and giving your brain the time to heal and to get better. And so depending on where someone is in that recovery process, they may have more or less control of their face. Now, if it's in a situation where that paralysis is permanent, then there are a lot of different factors. And mine is, there are grades of facial paralysis. There are levels 1 through 6, and 6 is considered complete paralysis where you have no control over anything. And when I was in the hospital, mine was deemed to be a grade 6. Well, they hoped it was going to recover. They hoped that I would go from 6 to 5 to 4 to 3 to 2, and that it would all come back. But after a certain amount of time of having your nerves and your muscles not work, then that becomes normal for your brain, and your brain starts to think that that's what it should be doing, is not working. So then the muscles can atrophy, then the brain or the nerves stop firing, and so you can lose some of that ability. So depending on where someone is in their journey, then they may have more or less use of their facial muscles. There are 49 muscles on each side of the face, and at any given time, someone who has facial paralysis may have 0 to 48 of those muscles that are working from the nerves that are firing. And so it really depends on where someone is in their journey. And the other thing that I have realized is someone with a brain injury or a traumatic injury of any kind, whether that's a stroke, whether they have Bell's palsy, whether they've had a tumor or cancer, once your brain has been cut open, I don't think you ever go back to being quite the same. Maybe that is just a given, but your levels of energy and the time that it takes your body to recover and repair, I require an enormous amount of sleep, 9 to 11 hours a night, and it's sometimes additional naps during the day. And so when my body starts to get fatigued, it is a very clear indication when you look at my face and when you see that things have stopped working and it looks like my skin is drooping off my face. That is a very good indicator that my body needs to recharge. My brain needs to refuel and to get things going again. And so there are sometimes you can see someone with facial paralysis and they might look almost normal. And you might think, oh, geez, I didn't even notice. And other times, like, wow, there's clearly something wrong and their muscles and their nerves are not working right now. And all of those same things can happen all in the course of a day. They can start, kind of like with any of us, you start out with, a certain level of energy and then you wane as time goes on. But for people with facial paralysis, they wear it more here. This is where people see it. So my husband could walk in the door and immediately look at me and say, oh, you're not feeling so well today. You're really tired, because he can see to the minutia degree. Oh, your eye is more closed, or your face is drooping, and he will notice that, or your words are slurring a little bit more. So you have to kind of hone in and really see the differences, but that's a really good indication. And in my case right now, I did have quite a bit of functionality back in my face, but I'm going through a series of surgical procedures that will hopefully try to restore some of my nerve and muscle functioning. And in going through that, they went in and tinkered with all my nerves again. And so now I have less control temporarily, and we're in the repair phase. And hopefully as time goes on and things start to repair and recover, my nerves will start to come alive again, and then I'll get a little bit more control back and be able to show my new functionality to the world.
Nice. That'd be good.